How's it going, everybody? We have a fun video today. We're going to be going inside our print-on-demand Shopify store that went from zero to over $31,000 in sales in its very first month. We started off doing a couple $100 per day, and things quickly ramped up once we dialed it in up to a couple $1,000s per day. Fast forward to today, this brand in the past 13 months has done just over $1.2 million in sales. Now, obviously, that's top line. That's not profit. We're going to get down into exactly how much we took home at the end of the day. We're going to go through our ad account where you can see here we spent $413,000. Then we're going to go through our email strategy, which generated another $180,000. And the best part is that this is not just a fluke. This is the exact same strategy that not only is working today, but we've been doing the same thing for years. Like on Yoga Stay, which we sold this brand a couple of years ago. It's print on demand t-shirts using Printify with Facebook ads and email marketing. And then more recently, History Tees, same exact playbook, same plan. And both of these brands were acquired by Open Store in the past couple of months. You can see here's the press release from Open Store. There we are. That's me. Open Store is a company that buys e-commerce brands, and we were able to successfully exit both of these brands to Open Store. And the difference in what we're going to be talking about today compared to typical drop shipping, we're just finding a product and scaling things up until it dies out. We're talking about building an actual brand, an asset where customers come back and buy from us again and again, and we're making unique branded products and ultimately building an asset that we're able to sell. So looking at the past 12 months of this brand, we started off in July of 2023 with $31,000 in sales, and things pretty steadily increased month over month up until Q4, where we did $160,000 in December, which is pretty nice. Then we had the typical Q1 dip down to $91,000, and things have been pretty consistent along the way. Around this dip here is where we got less disciplined about adding new designs, but things are starting to pick back up, or they dipped as of August. As I'm recording this, things are starting to pick back up. We'll talk about that more in a second. And we're in a really good spot comparing July of this year with July of last year. And we're starting to ramp things up for the Q4 season. Obviously, this is just the top line revenue. This is not profit. Our bottom line, like take home income or EBITDA, earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization, is about 15 to 20%, depends on the month. But our biggest expense, or number two expense, I should say, is our ad spend, which we spent $413,000 on ads, and then about another 40 to 42% of revenue, $500,000, went to our product fulfillment, which we use Printify. Now, the thing I want to show first to get a lay of the land, like what are the products that we're selling? What does the site look like? What do the ads look like? Here is History Tees' exact funnel. This is the exact flow that people go through from the time that they see our Facebook ad to the time that they are about to purchase. First up, we have the ad, which the ads that we run are extremely simple. Here's literally one of the exact ads that we ran for History Tees. And the goal of these ads is very simple. We're trying to get people to either A, click the URL in the ad copy at the top up here, or click the Shop Now button down below. And the main metric that we're tracking on our ads and the thing that we're trying to improve is our cost per click. So we're aiming for 50 to 75 cents. And if we go back to our ad account, you can see that a lot of the campaigns that we're running, like our testing campaign here, runs at about 59 cents. So we're well within the range of what we're shooting for. And just to clarify, this dashboard here is for a new brand that we're running. This is not History Tees. This is not Yoga State. This is another brand that we're doing this exact same thing on. We're just not revealing the store because it gets botted to death, but it is literally the exact same thing as what you see here with History Tees, just in a different niche. It's just about 100 different designs on t-shirts using Printify for fulfillment, Gildan 64,000, just Facebook and email marketing. So after we get somebody to click on one of the ads, the next page that they're landing on is the collection page. And you can drive traffic either to the collection page where they see everything or to the product page. We do both, but the collection page is the one that we've done the most. And this is the page where the main goal is getting people to either A, click on the product picture, or B, click the add to cart button down below. Then once they're on the product page here, the important points to include are just basically simplifying the page as much as possible. In the beginning, when I first started running these brands, I would make like big, beautiful sites that were like overly complicated. And just the simpler the site is, honestly, the better. As long as we have a few like key elements, and that is really crisp and clean product images, like the one that you see here. A good variety of color selections. We actually do about 6 colors per t-shirt now, but social proof is another element that helps a lot. And pricing, it has to be competitive pricing, but there also has to be like good margin baked in there for us. So like we used to sell our t-shirts at $20 and it just did not, like our costs increase over time, like with Printify and just fulfillment in general. So now we're at about $30 per t-shirt and that works really well. Next thing to point out on the product page is having other options for people to buy. So this, we show it first on the t-shirt because t-shirts are, the primary traffic driver. But then, there's people that like the design, but they're not looking for a t-shirt. It might be during the winter. So we show it on a crew neck, a hoodie, other product types for them to shop on. And the main goal here is to get them to either click the add to cart button or the quick pay option. And with the call to action buttons here, we want to isolate that color. We want it to be the only time that color is really shown anywhere else on the site. So black, green, red, those types of colors are typically pretty good choices. Next is the cart. And there's a couple different versions for the cart, but that's this over here. Main goal is to get them to click the secure checkout or shop button. And it's important to note that there's 2 different versions of the cart that you can have. You can either have the cart drawer or you can have the cart page. Either one works, just different versions of basically the same thing. Then we have the checkout. And this is where people are entering their contact information, shipping information, billing. And the goal of this page, it's very, very simple. Just get them to enter their information. And the good news about this page is that there's very few things we're able to tweak. Shopify pretty much does all this for us. They have a very high converting checkout experience for customers. So it works really well. So there you go. I wanted to address first like what the funnel looks like and, so you can get a grasp before we go through these numbers, like what we're actually marketing, what the site looks like. As you can see, it's like a very, very simple site. Like this theme that they have right now, this is something OpenStore did after they acquired the brand, but we start off with just Debut or whatever the simplest theme is, Dawn, and we just really put our full focus on making really great, unique designs. And the reason I emphasize that is that one of the biggest mistakes I made early on in my career was that I focused way too much on the site optimization and the ads. While those things are important, the product is the real driver in any business, which maybe goes without saying, but it took me a long time to realize that I can only fix so many issues from inside my ad account. The vast majority of scaling a business comes from not only finding and creating great products, but continuing to do that and do that at scale. So every time we've had a dip in performance, aside from the Q1 here in January, it's come from a time where we basically lost focus on making designs and, just got away from that. The good news is that during this whole time, the total amount of time that my wife and I were business partners on this brand, the total amount of monthly hours that we were putting in was like 5 to 10 hours a piece. We have a team, like a customer service rep who helps manage tickets based in the Philippines and somebody who's like a site manager who does like all the product uploads and that sort of thing. But it's very lean, very low overhead, and it just consistently does pretty well once you have your products dialed in. So to elaborate on what that looks like. So when we first launched in July of 2023, we spent $10,000 or $11,000 just about on our ads. And the main goal of the ads in the beginning is start off with a super low budget and just validate that there's interest in the niche and the products that we have. The way that we choose niches is write down a list of your interests and then do something called the bumper sticker test. Very simple concept. Just picture out of your list of interests, your own hobbies, which of these have you seen on the bumper sticker of somebody's car? And the logic behind it is that if somebody has a bumper sticker for that topic, then there's a pretty good shot that they would wear a shirt for it or buy a hat or some other piece of print-on-demand apparel. Then from there, we do market research to validate that idea and make sure that, there's other people selling to this niche. There's lots of different design styles and options, ways that we can expand. It's honestly like kind of a concerning point if we go to do research and see nothing, because that tells us that either A, we found a completely untapped niche and market, which isn't that likely, or B, there's just not enough demand there. And to break down the campaigns that we're running and what our ad strategy looks like is like we saw with the History Tees ad, this is pretty much what all of our ads look like. It's just a very simple flat lay mock-up that we spend a lot of extra time designing these to make sure that they look really nice. But then we just take all of the designs and in bulk, put the designs across all of the shirts. And then this is our ad creative. And this actually does extremely well. I've tested, model photos, just the design, clean white backgrounds, and this just converts by far the best. And by converts, I mean gets the cheapest clicks. So that's what all of our ads look like. We start off with 75 to 100 different designs, and then I manually go into our ad library here and I just create all of the ads. And our ad library is essentially like the folder that we use to store all the ads. We don't normally run it. In this case, I actually ran it by accident and just let it run because it was doing pretty well for the first couple of weeks until I finally turned it off. But the other main campaigns that we run we have the USA campaign, which this is taking our best looking like 4 or 5 designs using this exact kind of ad copy. And if you're curious to learn other options for ad copy and creatives, there's a 21-hour course completely free on this channel that you can go check out, where I give you all of the different ad copies that we're testing and what's currently working today. But we use that kind of ad copy, just whatever the brand name is. And if you haven't sold any shirts before, you could just do something like new history t-shirt collection with then some emojis that are relevant to history. Like one I used here was on a bunch of brands is this one, this Easter Island emoji. And I would just do something like new history t-shirt collection, just like that. Again, there's lots of different ad copy templates in the 21-hour course for you to download and play around with. But so that's what the ads look like. And in the beginning, we start off with low budget and we're seeing which designs people like. So for example, if we launch with 100 designs, it's pretty typical for about 70 to 80 plus of those to just not be winners. And the way we know if they're winners or not is based on the cost per click. So if they're getting $1.50, $2 plus cost per link click, then we just kill it and we don't make any more designs like those. But then the ones that do well, we basically, if they get 50 to 75 cent cost per click, we go back to either our designers, AI, whatever tools, and make more like those. It's honestly pretty simple. And I say that it's simple, but then it took me 21 hours to explain it. So can't quite say that, right? What I should say is that it's a simple concept. Like it's just rinse and repeat, basically the same thing, but there are like nuances to it, just like anything. So that's the USA campaign. So we start in the US for our primary campaign. And then, so these were the initial campaigns that we launched with. So we have the ad library campaign, which is essentially our folder. Then we have our testing campaign where we just take the ads out of the library and put them in super low budget ad sets. And then whichever ads perform the best, we then copy paste those into our main CBO. And the strategy or goal here with this CBO campaign is that we leave it running with making as few adjustments to it as possible. I used to do like insane budget bumps and cuts and stuff, like insane scaling strategies. But nowadays I invest a lot more of my time and focus into building real brands and like a lot less on the traffic side. Let's say about 10 to 20% of my focus now goes to the actual ads itself. So we just try to build up one main CBO, get it to perform consistently. Now, if we look at max duration, now this CBO has now spent $57,000 at a 2.3, which a 2.3 is like pretty solid because that means we're at roughly a 3 overall, which a 3 overall is like 20-ish% net profit. The other campaign we have is retargeting, which there's specific templates and stuff for this in the 21-hour course, but these are pretty simple as well. The same kind of ad creative, just pictures of the products. Just the ad copy up here will say something like, we saved your cart for you. And it would be like a link back to the websites with the cart. So it'd be like historytees.com/cart. And when people click that URL, it takes them directly to their cart with their products that they added, already preloaded, makes it a really easy checkout experience. Then once our USA campaign is performing well, we then literally just duplicate it and target worldwide audiences, excluding India, Trinidad, Tobago, and Pakistan. Nothing against those countries at all, but they just send a ton of clicks and traffic, but it's extremely low converting. So we just exclude those, but target the rest of the world. And it normally performs just as well, if not better, than the United States. On the site side, all that we do is adjust the currency so that people are able to buy in their own currency. But I personally haven't done anything with the languages or any of those adjustments. It's just the currency. As a reminder, all these ads are just driving traffic to this page. It's a very simple page, or we drive it to direct to the product page. And the real way that we're able to scale up to over $1 million in sales and growing is not just because of the traffic that we're driving, but also because of the assets that we're building. So our email list, for example, has generated just under $180,000 in the past year. And what that means is that's $180,000 from the back end, like mostly people who have already bought from us coming back and buying again. And that's something that a lot of dropshipping brands struggle with, is getting a relationship built with their customers where they're able to not just get the front end first purchase, but get them to come back and buy again and again. This is where, in my opinion, where the real money is. Like the front end first purchase is great, but building a real brand that people love, like History Tees was a prime example. People love this, not just because of the products, but because we really took care of the customer. We had extremely lenient, like unlimited refund policies, and all of our emails and communications with them were branded and written in like clever, like historical voices. It wasn't like me doing anything. It was just ChatGPT. Those little touches go a long way towards building a brand that people actually love and want to come back and buy from again. And same thing applied to Yoga Stay. Yoga Stay obviously is not the same target demographic as History Tees. So our emails in this case were reminders about mindfulness and, just taking a beat for yourself. And some of our best performing email campaigns of all time were the simplest. They were the ones where we just said, hey, thanks for being a part of this community. Here's your daily reminder that like you matter and to just breathe. This too shall pass, that sort of thing. People absolutely love that. Now more than ever, with like AI just cranking out just kind of generic content, people are like very, very open to like relationship building, and like they like to see that you view them as a real customer and not just a point of sale. So now zooming in on the first couple of months for this brand, how did we go from doing like 30-ish grand in the first month to 50 in the second month to just over 100 in the third month? My biggest takeaway from this whole process and doing this over and over again is that getting from 0 to 10K a month is much, much more challenging than going from 10 to 100K a month. This is just my personal experience, but 0 to 10K, it's very challenging because that's where we're not sure what's going to work and what's not. It's throwing a lot of stuff at the board, making a lot of designs, getting knocked in the teeth a lot of times by, working hard on designs and then they don't work out. That's just like part of the game. And I think people that are the most successful with this business, print on demand, just e-commerce in general, are the ones who build up a thick skin or tolerance to that sort of thing and just recognize that what we're building is not for us. Like the art and the designs and the products we're making, it's not meant to be for us. It's meant to be for the market. And our goal is to identify what the market wants and where we are, and then do everything we can to close that gap. So what that ends up looking like is seeing like what kinds of sayings and quotes and humor is the market interested in. And then specifically for t-shirts, how can we translate those interests into not just beautiful designs, but designs that are beautiful, topical, and specifically are ideal for putting on a t-shirt. That's the whole game. And just completely disregarding like our own opinions. Like I've come to accept a long time ago, anything that I think is going to do well typically turns out to be a low performer. Anything that I think is going to do poorly normally surprises me and goes the other way. The real process that we use to go from 30 to 50 to 100K plus months is a 3-step process. Number 1 is increasing the budgets on what's working, 15 to 20% every 2 to 3 days. Second is scaling our design process and basically making more designs based off of what's working. So for example, what that looks like on History Tees is we launched with a bunch of designs, 90+% of them did terrible, but this one did really well. So then we look at this and we're like, all right, what can we make that's similar to this? What can we learn from this? And what we learned is it's a historical figure, very simple design, text, sarcastic humor based on a historical event. Okay, what are other historical events? It's, July 4th, signing of the Declaration of Independence. Thomas Jefferson, well-known historical figure, simple text, funny quote. Crap that's due tomorrow. Obviously made up. Meh, good enough, mediocrities. My personal favorite, George Custer, Custer's Last Stand, put the date and where it happened and his quote, uh-oh. So it's just simple iterations like that. That's how you like really scale the brands. Or like on Yoga Stay, we saw that people were really liking like this style where it's a flower or tree rather mixed with somebody doing yoga poses. And so then we're like, all right, what else can we do? This is a specific yoga pose. So we did research and said, what are the top 10 most popular or well-known yoga poses? And we made iterations for each of them. Same exact style, just a person doing a different thing. Those all did well. And as you do that, as you build out the catalog and give people basically more products that they like, ad performance increases, which then means that we're able to consistently increase our budgets without the performance dropping. Like I said, speaking of performance dropping, when I talked about us getting away from our like bread and butter, is the times that we've had dips is the times that we've taken our foot off the gas when it comes to designs, is the times that we get lax and our number of designs that we're adding goes from like 30 to 50 a month down to 0 for a couple of months. Those are the times that our ad performance normally drops. The good news is that you're able to put systems in place that will like basically hire and manage a team to make the designs for you. So you don't have to just be a design monkey, basically, which is how I felt a lot of times. I feel like I just need to like lock myself away with just like a paintbrush, a metaphorical paintbrush, and just make more designs. You can put systems in place and hire people that really enjoy that kind of work to do it, if that's not you. So that's the quick rundown, 15, 20 minutes of how we build successful print-on-demand Shopify stores, what the funnel looks like, what we do with our email marketing, and what our ads look like. Got to see it all on History Tees. This worked on Yoga Stay, and I've done 8 different brands in total with this exact kind of playbook, built them all to 7 figures, and it's still working today. So the strategy works. Now, that being said, it is not an easy thing. I don't want this video to come across as like, oh, it's so easy, caveman could do it. It's not. There's a lot of challenges. But the point is that like it does still work today. You can build a real brand. It's possible to build a brand that people love and come back and buy from again and again, and it just continues to grow 10, 20% each year, bigger and bigger. And if you want, it's also possible to exit from the brand and move on to something else, take a payday, do whatever you want with your life. Lots of different options, but it does definitely take a lot of effort. Like I said, there's a 21-hour course where I explained exactly how to do this process. But if you're somebody who only has like, $15 to your name, or you're in a lot of debt, what I recommend and what I did when I was in that spot years ago was get a part-time job to fund working on this business, set aside a small amount of money each month to invest in this, and also set aside a small amount of time to invest in this as well. And time block, like if you're working full-time, time block just 1 or 2 hours per day, 1 or 2 hours a day of deep focus work towards a specific goal. You could be surprised at how much you can get done. The times where I'm most productive is when I sit down and I know exactly what I'm going to work on. Times where I'm not productive and make 0 progress is when I sit down during my work time and I'm just all over the place. Time block, set aside a small amount of money. Don't do this if you're just completely broke and like need this to work by next month. I recommend getting some other kind of side income and use that to fund not only your lifestyle, but set aside a small amount to invest into this. I hope you guys enjoy it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.